over. And primarily concept is that there is a device which can be a sensor, a meter, or a say for example a wearable device which sends vital signs. It is transported through a network and it goes to an application which can make sense of this captured data and provide inputs for further action, or it creates actionable items. This is what in general M2M is. And this is slightly more complex. I will not dwell much, but just to indicate that on left side of the diagram, it is a current situation where proprietary systems are working, where the data from devices is taken through communication networks to applications, and all these protocols and devices, the interoperability is only a proprietary nature. They may not interwork with, may not interwork with many other applications and devices. And the effort is to develop a common service layer where all devices can talk to different applications and applications can talk to applications. And this is the area of telecom is from devices to the common service layer. Above that, application to application, you have heard about HL7 and other standards which we have talked about, and you will deliberate on that. So we limit ourselves to the lower two things: device interoperating with the telecom networks, who then send data on specific protocols to the applications. And you must be aware, maybe the projections which I have, you are aware that GSMA is a association of GSM operators, and Machina Research, they have projected that by 2020 there will be about 24 billion devices world over which will be connected in all sectors. And business opportunity is US dollar 4.3 trillion. And out of this, $1.3 trillion is an opportunity for telecom networks and operators. And these will be used in automotive sectors. You talk of any sector and everywhere M2M will be there, because we are talking of smart cities, smart homes, smart buildings and whatnot. So everywhere they will be percolating. It is not limited to any one sector. Now, framework for health monitoring in brief is use technology to collect data conveniently and securely. Security of data is very important. All the previous talkers and everybody is concerned that data security is very important for us, for the patient and for everybody else. Communicate more frequently with minimal manual intervention, and effectively monitor and better understand the personal health data. This is the basis on which the entire framework is being developed. And in the remote healthcare, examples are, you are aware, remote monitoring of patients after surgery, while resting at home, transmission of vital parameters of a patient from ambulance to hospital, remote monitoring of old aged patient, remote consultation, eICU. These are some examples. And the example is illustrated here in monitoring of a person shown running, and we want to monitor various parameters of that person. So it is shown that on the network side, if you see, there are devices, there is a gateway. If you see a blue thing on the door cloud, this is a gateway, telecom gateway, then the communication network, and then applications. And converting it to a real-time situation, a running patient, we want to see blood pressure, pulse oximeter, pedometer, smart bandage, all these devices simultaneously producing data. And for this, the smartphone can become a gateway, as a device and as a gateway both. And this mobile phone can transmit data through a communication network to the applications where the data is supposed to be stored, and it has to be converted into a actionable information. Now, remote patient monitoring or assisted living is a example, a similar thing but explained in a different way, that you have patients on the left side, they have implants, and these implants or devices could be various kinds of sensors which have been shown here, temperature, blood pressure, other things. Then there are local area networks. If the patients can be in a hospital, they can be in a home, in a nursing home, or they may be roaming around, they may be their homes. All of them, they have to get connected to a telecom system through a gateway. Now those gateways can be either a laptop computer with internet connectivity, tablets, or a landline broadband connection connected on your telephone with a Wi-Fi connectivity, or we can create certain networks which we'll come to in the next slides. Through those gateways, data is going through a wide area network like a mobile network or through a broadband network into the medical information systems. And there are front-end tools for the users, for the doctors, or for the nursing staff, or the caregivers to exploit that data for the health care. Now, this is what the usage of use case examples and how data is transported across the network. Now, standardization activities, there are various a number of organizations who are working in different aspects of standardization in health sector. This is an example of development of guidelines by IHE. Now, the process is submission of ideas that they need use cases to develop use cases, create work items out of that, create gap analysis, means what needs to be done, what is not existing in terms of telecommunication or application part, guidelines development, approval and testing of the solutions which are developed, and then finalization of the guidelines after public comments and the corrective actions required to be taken after testing. Now in TEC, the current activity is leading towards creation of standards which are required for India. I will start from the development of report aspect and then see what we are going to do next. Now, TEC had taken up 4 sectors in the first phase to study their use case requirements and where telecom needs to intervene: automotive sector, power, health, security and surveillance, and recently another group has been started which is M2M security, which is different from the security and surveillance, because there we cover security and surveillance of persons and installations, and the new group which is created is security in M2M communications. There is another group which is working is M2M gateway and architecture. As you saw in the previous slides, there is a gateway which is required to aggregate traffic from different kinds of devices to connect it to the networks for further carriage to the applications which are residing as, for example, EMRs or PHRs and other datas. So these groups have been started, they have started working for about a year back, and they have participation from stakeholders from all industries, academia, maybe hospitals, and I will show you the list that the kind of participation which we have in the groups. The example will be from the health sector right now, and the idea is to develop cost-efficient vertical market specific standards which provide a cost-efficient platform and can be easily deployed in a hardware and software in multi-vendor environment. That is what everybody wants. The examples of organizations which have been participating in health sector in TEC's working group are these. You can just see Apollo, Biosense, Continua, Health Alliance. Then we have Daiti, Ericsson, HCSL, for example. Then more people have been added recently, and I take this opportunity to request people present here that everybody is free to participate and contribute in these working groups. Now, the working groups, the process established for working groups is that they identify the minimum set of common requirements for each vertical market, like health, power, etc., focusing on the related market and application programming interfaces and protocols supporting applications and services, and draft technical reports in these areas. They will take into account already existing work done by different standardization bodies like HC, IEEE, 1M2M, and other sector-specific standardization bodies. They meet every fortnight on con call, and frequent face-to-face meetings. About a quarterly basis they are held in Delhi. And after an year's effort, these 5 study groups have created reports with use cases, studies, analysis, and the way forward, which are going to be released on 12th May by our Honorable Minister of Communications and IT, Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad. Now, what is the M2M value chain? Who are the people who are involved and who are concerned about the activities in telecom? They start from machine and device manufacturers. Then there are middleware providers, then there are service providers who provide M2M service at the telecom level, then network equipment providers, and then system integrators, because ultimately there is a requirement that when the data reaches at the application level, the telecom and IT have to get integrated, and there the most important part comes there, because service providers cannot work unless this data gets integrated. And the technologies, as far as telecom is concerned, for this whole value chain is, for example, sensor networks, radio frequency identification devices, location-based services, and for connectivity of local networks from patient devices to the gateways are Wi-Fi, Zigbee, Bluetooth, near-field communication, 6 low-band networks. There are examples. I am not going into detail of each of these networks, but this is what the technologies are. And when these Wi-Fi, Zigbee, etc., they have integrated the traffic into a gateway, then gateway communicates with the network on maybe 2G networks, 3G networks, and whatever mobile networks are on offer. That is the wide area network. And IPv6 capability is required as the devices, because there will be billions of devices, and we do need IPv6 compliant devices as well as networks. These are, you are aware of the organizations which I have listed here: WHO, ISO, ITU, IEEE, W3C, DICOM, GS1, HL7. The organizations earlier, these are mostly in telecom domain. These are specifically to the health sector. Of course, IHE and Continua are the most prominent ones which we come across daily when we work on this area. Now, Continua, this is a summary of the Continua guidelines which have been even approved by ITU. On the user side to the electronic health record side, what comes in between, sensors to the personal area network, to the transport network, and to the electronic health record systems. And this is the architecture which is approved by ITU based on Continua contribution. The things which have been said are more pictorially and represented with interfaces clearly given: aggregation management, telehealth service centers, and health record systems, how they interconnect, and what are the interfaces which are required. I will just briefly deal with what are the policy issues as far as telecommunication sector is concerned. We have talked about the policy issues from Health Ministry and the doctors which have talked about the policy requirements in the health sector, but this policy framework is primarily toward on the telecom side: interoperability, conformance of devices and networks, security and privacy of data, KYC norms, and EMF radiation norms. Now, the DOT, when it started working on the M2M sector, these are the people who were consulted on how to go about in the M2M policy domain. And finally, 27 policy questions were shortlisted on which the work has to be done. And now DOT has prepared a roadmap, which is also going to be released, M2M roadmap, which is also going to be released on 12th May by the Honorable Minister of Communications. And that deals with the lot of policy issues, not the solutions, but the issues which have been identified and how they are going to be dealt. And some of the important issues which are shortlisted for the policy resolutions are that we need to be technology neutral, flexibility should be there, and because they are open platforms and standard devices, it should promote competition. Data ownership and security also need to be addressed. Then KYC, if you see in your mobile telephone, when you subscribe, you have to fill up a form and a lot of data. But when the SIMs have to go into the devices, then that will not work. So a new framework is required for SIM use in the mobile devices, which are to be part of the medical devices or the wearable devices or wherever they have to be used. So SIM ownership, transferability, security and management, etc., all those are part of the KYC which are to be addressed. Then EMF radiation norms. For mobile telephone, there is a SAR value which is prescribed. How it will be dealt on wearable devices or in a hospital where a number of devices which are M2M enabled, all of them radiating, how this radio signal radiation should not be harmful to the personal health, how it should be dealt is an issue which needs to be deliberated and sorted out. And finally, there is a need that a policy of, as a government, not as a Department of Telecom alone, that all infrastructure projects which are coming all across the sectors, M2M adaptation, how to make it mandatory part of the implementation of the projects, that has to be considered. And M2M devices, once the standards are available, they should be certified against those requirements which after the policy issues are sorted out and standards are available. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thanks, Mr. Mittal. What I would suggest is that we have a tea break for 20 minutes. People can catch you on the
sure.
tea time and have questions.
Sure.
Can I have just one short question, if you don't mind, before the tea break?
Okay, go ahead.
So I just want to ask that how is TEC, which has prepared the standards for India for M2M e-health, different from the Continua health standards?
Yeah, okay. This is a good question. Let me clarify what Continua does and what TEC does or TEC will do. See, Continua and these people are creating framework or interworking infrastructure and how the devices will connect. But there is a need to work out protocols and standards for devices which will be used. There should be open standards on telecom devices. So it is not that what Continua does, TEC will not adopt. TEC is going to adopt the international standards which are accepted through ITU, basically. And today, all organizations which are working in the area of any of these sectors, they go to ITU, present their case, and ITU makes a standard. Like Continua case, ITU has approved the Continua guidelines. What is being done is, through these working groups, the gap analysis is being done, that where is the gap in India on the use cases, and where the standards or protocols are required to be developed, because it is